All right, let's look at this now. 16,000 rands a day for meetings. That's how much the eThekwini Metro Municipality wants to pay to mingle with potential investors. ActionSA in KwaZulu-Natal is totally against this, considering the poor state of roads and water infrastructure, housing and electricity in the municipality following last April's devastating floods. For more on this, we're joined now by KwaZulu-Natal ActionSA chairperson Zwakele Mncwango. Good to have you, and thank you very much for coming on tonight. It seems on the 3rd of May, this particular letter was written for the consideration of various parties, CFO, head of the SCM and other designated officials. And this is, as per section 5.8, subsection 7 of the SCM policy, basically a special deviation to be able to hire a venue for meetings by the economic development planning cluster units. When you look at it, it's well within the provisions, I suppose, of the policy that they could be able to hire these events, venue events rather, provided they are within budget. Why are you so opposed to it?
Yeah, good evening, Thabo. Yeah, it's true. It's not a question of whether SCM policy allows it or not. I think it's a question of economic principle, where you need to look at the needs and wants. Where you are facing with unlimited wants, obviously you need to look at the needs more importantly. So it's that question of scarce resources, where you ask yourself, can the city justify spending 16,000 rand a day in a meeting at a luxury establishment where you've got venues like the ICC, Shaka Marine, you've got Mos Mabhida, you've got City Hall. So the argument moved by officials is that they need to be in a space where they showcase what the city can facilitate in terms of investment.
Yes.
As this sort of establishment was actually assisted by the municipality itself in terms of assisting the private sector. But the point of the matter is, most of us, including myself, have traveled internationally doing study tours abroad in Africa. Nowhere government will take you to a private establishment. They always use their own facilities. And eThekwini can do the same, but what you then do after a meeting with potential investors or private sector, you're able to take them around with a tour, which is very cheap and not even costing a cent. Because you finish your meeting, then you can show them around what kind of investment that have a potential in the city. You don't need to take them in a fancy facility somewhere in Umhlanga.
Yeah.
So I think one must also say, this is not an issue of an establishment, right. It's an issue of the city that is prepared to waste money.
So, I mean, in essence, their motivation, you agree in a sense that the 5 cluster units, catalytic projects, economic development unit, business support, and so on and so forth, would need to interact at face value with industry players, with international investors, and so on and so forth. So you are not in dispute of that, but you are looking at the price tag of this particular establishment that they want to go to. They are saying 3 reasons. One, you've mentioned one already, to showcase the type of investment that the city is able to attract. But 2, they're saying this is fit for purpose and is of international standard, which most clients are used to. 3, they're saying it's in a development node that was facilitated by the cluster. Are these not good enough reasons for you?
Look, as I said earlier, Thabo, it's always a question of needs and wants. You know, when you have a lot of money, if you don't use your own money as a person, if you've got a lot of money, you can buy everything you want. But because all of us, we don't have money, we always look for what we need. So at a moment, the city have been engaging with investors, have been engaging with private individuals for so many years. You know, it's not the first time. How they've been doing that? They've been doing that in a very cost-effective manner by having meetings in our own boardrooms. Yeah. We've got a state-of-art ICC with good conference centers. You've got Mos Mabhida, which is actually at the moment not even utilized to its fullest. And then you've got Shaka Marine. So you've got government entities that you can utilize in eThekwini. Why would you want to spend 16,000 rand a day in a city where it's so filthy, it's not cleaned, where you've got issue of infrastructure, where you've got issue where there's serious delivery challenges in the city. You've got people who no water as I speak today. In Umlas, there's no water as I speak today. In areas of Untuzuma, for about 4 weeks without water. In the area, even Bumbu, they've got no water for about 4 weeks. So how can you justify that you've got money you can spend a day of 16,000 rand just for a meeting, which honestly, looking at government and this municipality, how they make decisions, what decision you can say really worth 16,000 rand? I don't believe it's a right move. It's one reason ActionSA. We object to it. We're then calling for a coalition of EFF, NFP, and ANC to reject this next week on our council meeting, because we believe we need to save money for our ratepayers and really put money where it is due. And let me tell you this, Thabo. eThekwini currently have the highest rate as we speak. We're going to pass the budget next week. We are increasing everything. All our rates are high than any other city in the country. How can then explain they've got money to waste when you need more money to fund your budget? And they only do that to actually punish those who are paying rates in eThekwini and for services. So we cannot support this as ActionSA. This is why we call for other parties to do the same.
Right, back live with you. Still with us, KwaZulu-Natal ActionSA chairperson, Zwakele Mncwango, and they are strongly opposed to the city's application for deviation to be able to hire a venue. The venue is called the Pencil Club. So let's talk about the Pencil Club. And the city says they're part of facilitating the investment of the building of this facility. Who owns it?
No, it is privately owned. It's not owned by the city. What the city means, Thabo, is that the city will always facilitate any development, because you will need park infrastructure, for example. You need approval from the city. There's a way of facilitating. So basically, Pencil Club is one of the catalyst projects that I think all of us in Ethekwini are proud of, you know, and we need all those iconic kind of projects and buildings in the city. So it's one of the best, and it's one of those best facilities. When you go there, you can feel comfortable. You can tell, you know what, this is about money, you know. So it's one of those nice to have kind of environment. So this issue, I must say again, Thabo, it's not a question of Pencil Club. It's a question of the city not managing money wisely at a time where in a crisis they want to be going with luxury. So it's the issue of luxury. It's not really something that we say it's a must or a need for the city. For example, Thabo, when someone travels from other countries to come and meet our officials for investment, if you know you are meeting with a council officials, you don't expect anyway to meet in a fancy private hotel.
Yeah.
They can have fancy offices if they do, but if you don't, you accept what they have. Why you must be worried about meeting someone in a private fancy hotel? So yes, it's a nice establishment. It's a nice environment to be in, but we don't believe at the cost of ratepayers' money.
I looked at the minutes and I see, I think it's the signature of the head of SCM. I could be wrong. It could be the city manager. But I see they're saying it's effect 1st of June 2023 to 30th of June 2024. Value being less than 200,000 rands.
Look, it actually says on a need basis. So whenever the venue is required, as we are saying again, it's not a question whether they have a right in terms of SCM processes. Section 58 of SCM does allow such decision to be taken. And also, it's not a question whether 200,000 is too much or not. It's at a moment where the city is in crisis, in dying need of money. We can't really waste money. And let me change this, Thabo. 16,000 rand is just the venue, no refreshment.
Yeah.
So you will never invite someone and not entertain them. So meaning when they get there, that place is a nice place with whiskey and cigar. It's famous of that. So meaning you take clients, you put them there, you must purchase a whiskey, you must purchase cigars for them. On whose cost?
Yeah. So you're saying they are likely going to exceed that limit of 200,000 rands?
Definitely, Chabo. As I'm saying, they are budgeting for 16,000 rand for a venue. If you read the recommendation, it says it's excluding refreshments because you don't know what it would cost to eat there. So there's no budget for that. But meaning somehow you must fund that. But even if you don't exceed 200,000 rand, Chabo, even if you go for one day, it's still too much for the city to afford so much money. Yeah.
So if somebody was to say to you, you know, we had this kind of argument just recently with South African tourism, and they wanted to do a sponsorship of R1 billion, and they justified it to say, look, if we are able to get that kind of traction, this is what it's going to bring in terms of investment. So if somebody was to say to you, it's 200,000 rands that we are going to spend on hiring this venue, but the value that we will get in investment here is close to 2 billion rands. So in a sense, the city will benefit from that investment.
The argument here is simple. You can still strike a deal for 2 billion rand at City Hall. You can strike a 2 billion rand deal at ICC at the cheap value of free venues owned by the city. So you don't really need, that's what I'm saying, Tabo. It's a question whether do we need this or we want. It's a question, here, the city wants to utilize this venue, not because they would need to use this venue. So there's no need, there's just a want. So you must then separate the two. Hence I'm saying, when you make decisions on scarce resources, you need to apply economic principles of needs and wants. So in this case, honestly, it doesn't matter whether it's 20,000 rand or 30,000 rand. It's a question to say, do we really need to use this venue? The answer is no. Do we want it? The answer might be yes, but we don't really need it. So that's the thing to say, honestly, we don't believe as ActionSA it's justifiable to utilize this venue because you can strike a deal with any investors in your own office because there is no proof to say someone might not give an investment in eThekwini just because you met them at City Hall. You didn't meet them where they can have whiskey and cigars. That's just really fallacy, and I think that's taking a chance by these officials and the ANC and EFF and NFP. So we are saying to them, they must really, as councillors, think about ratepayers who are struggling right now in eThekwini. How to explain 200,000 rand going down just for the venue where you can use the same venue at City Hall?
So it's a vain project, because that's why I asked you the question of ownership. Do you think any of the politicians own that venue? One would say maybe they are directing this resource there because they want to gain from the booking. But you are saying it's not even for that. It's just purely a vain exercise for them to go there and say we are in this upmarket establishment. We can puff a cigar and drink whiskey and showcase what we could possibly be investing in.
No, Chabo, I can't speculate on that, but what I can tell you is, Peasant Club is always a club. As I'm saying, it's a club. You can join, even yourself, Chabo, you can just put in your money. I think the maximum price per annum is about 195,000 rand to be a member of that club. It's one of the top one, and then you can go down to 20,000 rand depending the package you take, and then you can also raise on per day. So if you want to utilize the venue, you can just, it's a club where I know some people, even myself, I respect, who are members of that club. And I appreciate that they've got money, they afford to pay subscription, you pay whatever money you can pay per month. It's a good environment. If I was in business, if I had money, I will be part of a club. I know some people I work with who are part of a club, but the point of the matter is, it's not really a need for the city. And I can't speculate who benefits out of it. So
I've had a look at the minutes again. There seems to be a number of signatures that are already on there. Including the city manager who signed on the 12th of May. Is that the end of it, or this still needs to go to council to be approved?
It needs to go to council next week. Remember, it was in a committee this week. After a committee, it goes to council. So a council have a full responsibility to reject this proposal. But again, it's up to whether EFF, NFP, and ANC will support, because ANC have no majority in council. It needs support of coalition partners, which is NFP and EFF. So we believe, though, that I don't know how they can justify supporting this recommendation next week. But it's not about signatures, it's about council making final decisions, because it needs approval by council.
So with the current arrangement that is existing in some municipalities in KwaZulu-Natal between the ANC, the EFF and the NFP, it's likely that this will get the support.
Look, it's likely, but I'm saying end of the day, it's up to them and their conscience and how they explain to ratepayers of eThekwini. On the same day where we passed the budget with the highest rate ever, some of it above inflation, how to explain to voters of eThekwini that you are prepared to waste money on just a flashy venue without really justifying how this will benefit people of eThekwini.
Zwakele Mncwango, I appreciate your time. Thanks so much for coming on. That is KwaZulu-Natal ActionSA chairperson there, Zwakele Mncwango, voicing their rejection of this suggestion by the Economic Development and Planning cluster units to hire at ad hoc basis this particular facility called the Pencil Club.